Today we will be discussing about the various business process, okay,
Mm-hmm.
that is involved and how we set that up, okay. So let me show you, like yesterday we were seeing few things related to the performance, okay. So this all were the one actually which we were seeing, like how to add a goal, maybe review ratings, employee reviews, okay. So for everyone, we have the business process. Okay, so one by one, we will see the different various business process that is involved. Okay, first of all, I will start with the performance review BP business process.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you might have created so many business processes, or maybe you have made the changes as per the client requirement. Correct?
I'm a bit aware of these things. I haven't been in so much, stuff of these things, but yeah, I know.
Okay, so I hope you are pretty much aware like what business process is and how, because the main, like you might have seen whenever we are creating this uh, business process, okay, whenever we are starting any performance review, okay, like
Mm-hmm.
for an example I will show you here, like if I'm starting the performance review,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just selecting randomly any one of the employee that we have. Employee, let me type some name, Logan. Okay, wait a second, let me log in. So are you aware like what is business process, or you just want to give me a brief about it?
A quick brief should be fine, yeah.
Okay. So if there is anything that you are not able to understand, because I don't know like at what depth or what basic knowledge you are having. So if you have any doubts, you can ask, okay, and I will explain you over there only so that you'll be able to understand it. So for an example, if I talk about business process, okay, for an example, you might have seen hiring, termination, job change. There are so many things that we do. Okay, so for each and everything, there is a set of process that is defined, or you can, in layman language, you can understand that like there are step by step, like how things are executed. For an example, in case of hiring, okay, the
Mm-hmm.
hiring starts, okay, then we define the organization, then we define the compensation, then we define the approval maybe for the compensation that we are defining, creating Workday account. So there are so many steps that is there, and the hire process, okay. So the steps which we define, okay, like how it is going to be executed, who all are the approvers, okay, which step will go to which person, okay, all those things are defined in the business process. For an
Mm-hmm.
example, I will just show you a higher business process. The short form for searching any business process is BP
Yeah.
semicolon, and you can write the business process name whatever you want to check.
Yeah.
In this tenant, this is a practice tenant, so you might be able to see so many business process related to hiring, because each and everyone is creating their own. But in ideal scenario, when it comes to the client, it will not be the same. Okay, there will be only one hire business process, that will be the default one, and might be we can find few other hire business process as well. Like for an example, if there is an organization related to legal team, they want the hiring process to be different. Okay, so they can create a higher business process for any specific organization, or maybe organization is nothing but the department. Okay, for an example, there are HR department, payroll department, legal department, IT department. Okay. So for all of them, there will be one default business process that would be set up. And if additionally, if I want to set up a business process specifically for hiring for accounts department or payroll department, okay, we can create, we can define a different set of process which will be executed only for that specific supervisory
Department.
organization, yeah,
Hmm.
or department, you can say. Like for an example, I'm just opening one. So meanwhile it is opening. Okay, it's loading. So in the same way, if we are going to define, so for each and every task, it's not mandatory that there would be any effect on business process, but there are few tasks that which we are executing, for that business process is defined. Okay.
Okay.
So for an example, this is one of the business process. If you see here, this is the initiation step. After that, the next step here is change organization assignment. This is defined to a security group, which is nothing but HR partner. So for an example, if I start a hire process for an employee XYZ, so it will be started. After that, it will go to the next step, which is nothing but change organization assignment. And this will go to which ever person is assigned under the security group HR partner. They can be two or three HR partner that the client has given security to. So this step will go to those person and they will define the organization's assignment. Organization assignment is nothing but like in which organization this employee is going to work. Okay, what is the location and everything. Those each and everything will be defined here. Okay, that will be done by HR partner. Once the step is completed, the next step will trigger, which is nothing but propose compensation hire. Okay, this step will again go to the compensation partner security group. Okay, this is the, this is someone who has created randomly, so this step is wrong, this step will not be there. After that, there is consolidated approval. Okay, consolidated approval means here, suppose these two steps are created. Okay, and the third next step they want is they want these two steps to get approved. So consolidate, there is one normal approval and there is one consolidated approval. In normal approval, what will happen is if it is a normal approval step, so it will directly go to HR executive for the approval. Like for an example, compensation partner has defined the compensation hire, compensation details, and the HR partner has defined the change organization assignment. So at the approval step, that will go to HR executive. He will review all the details and he will approve it. Okay, everything is good. And once the approval is done, it can go to change personal information. Okay, so like this, there are different steps that we can create, and for each and every step we can maintain condition or rules as well. For an example, at the approval step, I don't want the approval to go to each and every employee. Okay, in that scenario, what we will do is we will set a condition like if any employee is belonging to United States location only, for them only it will go to approval. So we can create a condition rule here. Okay, condition rule can be created easily by clicking over here, and you can go to the business process and you can maintain the step conditions. Okay, you can create different condition rule as per the client requirement. Okay, I can create a rule over here. There will be existing rules that is there. If in case we want to create a new condition rule, we can create it. So the step for which we will be defining the condition rule, it will be executed according to that only. So if we are defining only for United States, the approval step will trigger. If there is some other employee, maybe from other country like in India or maybe some other country, for them, that step will not be triggered. Okay.
Okay.
And once that step is done, it will go to the next step that is defined, which is nothing but create Workday account. Okay, so create Workday account is a service step which is completed automatically. Okay, so in the same way, the actions that you can see here, we have to define or we have to set the business process. Because suppose for an example, let me open the business process for start performance review. Okay, we have a default one here. Okay, the reason, as I mentioned earlier, there are so many business process steps you can see for different organizations that they have created. So you can find in this way only this practice tenant, whereas in the client tenant it will not be in such way. Okay, you will just have a default one or maybe one or two more business process, okay, for start performance review, and that will be for different department. In many scenario they don't need it, they want it to be executed on the same default one. Okay, so for an example here, as mentioned in the hire business process. Okay,
Yep.
so for an example here in this step, if you want to keep this as a simple, this is the simplest one that they have created, but it can differ based on the client requirement. Okay, for an example, this initiation step will be by default. For an example, if I just have this initiation step, so what will happen here is type some employee here. I'm just selecting a randomly any employee. So see here, we are here defining, for an example, here we have an option of media performance, media review, annual performance review. Okay, we can create this review template as well. Okay, if any additional one that we want. Okay, so if you want to create any other review template from whatever the existing we have, we can create it from here. We have an option of create employee review template. Okay, so then this will trigger you to create a new template for them, and this all are the one which we can create. Okay, about which we discussed yesterday. For an example, I want to review an employee based on accomplishment, maybe coaching or performance improvement plan. Performance improvement plan comes into picture if any employee is not having, if he is not performing as per the expectation. So I want to create a review plan, okay, performance improvement plan for any of the employee. Then I can create it and I can assign to that specific employee. I can, here we have to select the review type, okay, which we want to create, and we can name this. Okay, like for an example, Raj performance improvement plan. I would suggest you one thing: if you are creating anything in this tenant, please use your initial. Okay, because there are so many people who is working and doing testing. Okay, so you might get confused. Okay, so here I am creating a performance improvement plan, so I can set some goal or maybe some competencies I can define, okay, or maybe some development items that I can define. So like this, I can create a new employee review. Okay, so this is how we can normally create it. Okay, I'm just randomly creating a one. Like, let me select anyone like performance objective. If there is any section label override, what this is does is, for an example, the section type that I have created is performance objective. If I want to name something else here, so I can define here the name which I want to be reflected. Okay. So now this is the new review template that I have created, and period start date and period end date. So this performance review that we are creating for any employee. So here we have to define the start date and the end date. Okay. So for an example, I want this to be started from today, and I want to review this for next till this year end. Okay. Right now, I'm just selecting a normal one. Okay.
Okay.
Like a test one, and I'm defining it for now.
So what is the role of these period start date and end date? Is it like these are only active during this particular duration you are mentioning into the start date and
Yes.
end date, or
Yes, I will give you an example here. So for an example, I want to start a performance review for you.
hmm.
Okay. So there would be a timeline like till when. See, there is a review template that we have created. Okay. Or we are using. Okay. So for an example, I have assigned you something on which I want to review you. Okay. Maybe I have assigned you some goal on which I want to review for this from starting from today to till next 3 months. Okay. So this is the duration that we defined, like from when this review is going to start. Okay. For an example, I want this to be started from next quarter. Okay. I can define it from October 1st until 31st of December.
Hmm.
Okay. So this is the review that I want to be done for an employee named as Mark. Okay. The main thing that I want to show here is, see, you can see when you click on the view details. Okay, click on the details and process. So this is going to trigger a business process. Okay, so you can see here it was initiated by Logan. Okay, and this is going to the next step. Okay, if I want to check like what the business process is following up, okay, we have to go to the overall business process. I will select this business process option, and I will see the definition of the business process which is getting triggered. So right now you can see this is the business process. Okay,
Hmm.
for the one which is getting triggered. Okay, so here there is only two steps. One is the initiation, and the other one is complete manager evaluation. Okay, and this will be done by the manager, and we have a due date of 1 week. Okay, so he wants to review this after a week. Okay, so that is why he has set up the due date option, and this step is for which employee? This is the condition rule that they have maintained. What this condition rule is, we can check it from here. So mainly, if you're going to configure anything, or maybe if you're going to support any client, okay, they can ask you to make changes in all these things. Like for an example, they have made a condition: if is not goal setting, then entry of F, complete manager evaluation. Okay, so they are checking. This is the condition rule that they have maintained. If the review type is not in the selection list of the goal setting. Okay, so this trigger, if any employee is falling under this condition rule, then that step will be triggered, and that step will be triggered as there is a due date. It will be triggered after a week. Okay, starting from today. Okay,
Okay.
so the business process right now which you saw. Okay, so we have to define the business process. Okay, like for an example, as I have told you, like here, this is a practice tenant. So there are so many different employees, different consultants who are practicing. Okay, because for now, if you will get this access for this one, okay, you will be also trying to make your own business process. Okay, maybe by your thought process. selecting anything randomly and defining different conditions. Okay, so in the similar way, other consultants are also doing, okay, for the practice purpose. So that is the reason you might see there are so many here. But I'm just going to give you an example, like how the configuration of the various business process that is involved in the performance review is being done. Okay, so like for an example, uh, if I want to start a business process, okay, business process performance review for you, and there are different steps that the client want us to configure. Like for an example, here you can see the next step is complete self evaluation. This is going
Mm-hmm.
to employ as a self. Employ as a self security group means, like, if something is initiated, it will go to the employee for themselves, okay, to complete the evaluation. Okay, after that, it will ask for a review, like whatever the self evaluation that he is going to do. Okay, so for an example, if there is any performance review that happen, okay, you'll be assigned some tasks or maybe some goals. Okay, so first of all, once it is assigned, before the manager reviews it, okay, it is you who will be reviewing it from your side. Okay, and after that, the manager is going to evaluate based on the feedback whatever you have given. So this is what mainly for we configure in this business process. Okay, we can change this as per our requirement. We have to just click on this action item. We can go to the business process.
Added
We can,
definition. Okay.
yeah, we can edit the definition. So usually whenever a new implementation comes into picture, there are so many discussions that happens with the stakeholders and the client, like what exactly they are following currently, because they might be using some other uh, software for maintaining this performance. Okay, so in
Mm-hmm.
the same way, what they are following, because they might not know about what is business process, but we know, like, we have to define the business process, and we have to define in such a way, like whatever they are doing right now, it should be working in the same way, because they might not be aware of the nomenclature that they will just directly tell us, okay, we are doing the performance review. Okay, this is defined to an employee. After that, it is going to review to the employee. After that, uh, once it is reviewed, I want his manager to be reviewed, and he can say us, like, once the manager has, for an example, if the manager has approved it, and if the performance is not up to the mark, I want one more step, okay, to get executed maybe from some other manager, so that they can discuss about his performance review further. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
all those scenarios we can define here. We can just normally add any other step. I will show you here, like what are the steps that we can add. This is the order in which we want to execute the business process. For an example, A, B, C, D that you can see here, it will execute in the same way. First, the A step will trigger, then B, C, D, following up. The next step, if I want as a step E, okay, I can select an action type, and here you can see what all are the steps that we can define here. So once you click over here, you can see if further I want to access the potential, if I want to access the potential of this employee, I can do it. Okay, as I mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
if there is any further manager evaluation that is needed apart from the manager that is there, okay, I can use this option. Okay, get feedback from review if I want. So for an example, uh, I took you started your performance review, you review it from your side, I'm your manager, it came back to me. Okay, and I
Mm-hmm.
gave you the feedback. Okay, so like that we can define it. And at the if we want to add one more step, like we want the feedback from the review, like whatever the feedback happened, if there is the client needs to add one more step, we can do that. Okay, so this is how. And I hope you are aware of this type. Like if there is any further approval that is needed, we can define all these things. So here mainly action and approval step that will come into picture. This all other things, action items are for different things. Okay. In the
Mm-hmm.
service step, if you see, if there is anything, so all these things are set up based on the client's requirement. Mainly in the performance review, we don't find so many steps. It just get initiated. After that, it is self-reviewed by the employee. After that, it
Mm-hmm.
goes to an approval to the manager. Okay, but different clients have different scenario. Based on their requirement, we define the steps here. Okay,
Okay.
like as you saw, like I did one for here, and there was only 2 steps. Okay, so it will go only for a couple of steps, and my work will be completed. Okay.
All right.
Okay,
And
and one more thing.
defining,
Yeah.
sorry, just asking and defining any business process, is it, I mean, shall I say that when, for example, I have two different teams and I want two different processes for each team to be
Yes.
followed in terms of, having the performance review. So I'll be creating two different business process.
Yes.
I mean, the
So like for
bifurcation will be in terms of processes, correct?
yes. So for an example, you have two departments. You have an HR department, you have a payroll department, and like for an example, I will give you have a HR department and you have a sales department,
Hmm.
and you want to define the performance review for both the department in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if you want it in a completely different way, then you have to create two different business process. Okay. The first thing, if in case the business process is going to be same, but for an example, for salesperson, okay, I want like the employees who are at a manager level. I don't want the review uh, to go to further to the manager. Like for an example, your performance review is going on. Okay, that is coming to me as I'm your manager. Okay, I don't want it to go to any further step, but for the person who is from the HR department, okay,
Yeah.
what I want is a self evaluation is done by the employee. After that, it goes to the manager. Okay, but I want a further evaluation from any other manager. Okay, so in that step, what we can do is we can create a condition rule. Okay, you can
Yeah.
see here you have an optional step. So in many scenarios, what happens is we can manage in the same business process. Okay, we can create some condition type, we can create some condition rule. Okay, and we can define it, but in many scenarios that is not possible if the business process is completely different. For an example, I just want to have just a normal initiation step for the start performance review. I don't want any other further step. I just want it to be initiated, and I want it directly to go to the manager. Okay, and for the other person, for the other department, there are so many different business process that I want to do. Okay, let me show you one thing. Like for different department, how we can. So do you know, like for an example, let me open department that I have created here. I will show you like how we can create different business process. Like for an example, where is the topmost? Okay, so you can see in Alpha Executive Management, uh, we have Alpha Finance and Alpha HR Marketing. Okay, I want to define two different means I want the business process to be different for finance department, and I want the business process to be different for the marketing department. So how we will do it? You can see the business process. I will create a business process here. Okay. In the same way, I will create a different business process for the marketing department.
Okay.
Okay.
So you selected a particular superior supervisory organization, and then you are creating the business process under that.
Sorry, can you please repeat?
I'm just confirming that you selected a particular supervisory organization, right? And then we are creating a business process under that supervisory organization to further follow.
Yes. So see, ideally what should be is there will be one default business process that we will define for the performance review, and which will be done at the topmost level of the supervisory organization. Like this is the topmost one. Okay. Here I will define one business process. For an example, what will happen is, for an example, if I have defined a business process here, okay, what will happen is this business process will be inherited the start performance review one. Okay, let me create it. So okay, you can see I have selected the business process type, start performance review. If I want to copy from any existing one, I can do that. If I want to create a new one from my side, okay, I can just click over here. And you can see here I can define whatever step that I want. Okay, various steps. But what will happen is, for this supervisory organization, we are defining it at the topmost one. So the start performance review business process will be inherited to all the supervisory organization that we have defined for this. It will get inherited to each and every subordinate that we have. Like for an example, if I am defining at the CEO level, okay, this is the topmost level of the company. If I'm defining something here, it will get inherited to all the other subordinate or all the other departments that we have within that. Okay, but now if, for an example, if I want to have some different business process, okay, for this marketing department, okay, what I will do is I will not change anyone. Okay, I will just go and change for this one. So what will happen is each and every department that we have will go with one business process that we have defined for the start performance review, and this one will be different based on whatever we are going to define.
Okay. So it's like default mapping of business process with the supervisory organization and their subordinates, right?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Okay. And one more thing that I want to show you here is, like for this one, okay, you can see there are so many action step that is there. Okay, but for all this action step, okay, if I want to be defined further, because see, if you see this one, I will show you one thing. So you can see here the actions that you can see here, this all are separate business process. Okay, like
Mm-hmm.
complete manager evaluation. Okay, let me, so see, complete self evaluation. Okay, so I will explain you like what are the different business process that is defined here. Like for an example, I have showed you the higher business process, correct? In that
Mm-hmm.
we had change organization assignment, we had proposed compensation higher. Okay, I will give you an example from there so you will be able to relate it easily.
Mm-hmm.
Like in this business process, you can see there is an action step of proposed compensation higher. Okay, here, if for an example, if I want this step to be approved, only this step, so we cannot define in this higher business process. Okay, there is a separate business process for this proposed compensation higher, which you can see here. Okay,
Okay.
and if I want only this specific step, which is nothing but proposed compensation higher, to be approved, okay, what I will do? I will go here. There's an initiation step, and I will define the approval that this should be approved by the manager. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
did you get this?
Yep.
Because the approval that you are seeing here, okay, if it's a normal approval only, so this is the consolidated approval. Consolidated approval means, I will show you, consolidated approvals means it is not the approval of one specific step. Okay, we have to define like, oh, if you go to here business process, you can see here you have to configure the consolidated approval, and consolidated approval is nothing but above this step. Okay, proposed compensation higher, there are three steps. Okay, before the consolidated approval there were three steps. Okay, so here in the consolidated approval step, we have to define like which all step you want to go for an approval. Okay, and
Okay.
in which order you want to go? A, B, C. So what will happen here in consolidated approval is, first of all, the higher step will trigger. Okay, and it will go till the topmost. For an example, here you can see this consolidated approval step was assigned to the manager. Okay, so that step will go to the manager, okay, of that specific organization, and it will go till the topmost, till the CEO. Okay,
Okay.
so
Might be a very
normally that
basic.
is the reason. Yeah, so I
I
hope
mean,
you are aware of all these things, correct? Or I'm explaining you more basic, so you can let me know.
mm, I don't know. I mean, I might be asking you a very basic question right away that when we are talking about the approval, I got your point about the consolidated
Mhm.
approval and the approvals that you showed in terms of the steps. But what exactly we meant when we are saying about when we are saying about the steps approval, what exactly does that mean?
See, there are different type of approvals that we want, that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is normally that someone has set up. Okay, the reason there was consolidated approval step, that is the reason I was trying to explain you like what exactly is the step. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so here you might have seen the business process that we were seeing for the start performance review. It was normal, it will directly go to employee, and after that they will have an approval step. So here you can see here there is an action step which will go to the manager evaluation, and this would be done. The consolidated approval step that comes into picture in some scenarios, like as I mentioned, maybe in hire or maybe in termination business process. Okay, so that is of no use, like as it was there. So I thought to just brief you about it, like what is consolidated approval thing. That's it. Consolidated approval, what does is it needs approval for multiple steps that we have defined before the consolidated approval. You get it?
Yeah.
So that was about it. So mainly here we can define, okay, the various steps that we have based on the client's requirement. Okay. Any doubt?
No.
And one more thing, there is a security thing that comes into picture. Okay, here we are defining these different security groups, like employee as a self, and manager. So we have to make sure that this, when this step goes to this employee, they should have an access. So for that, we have to give the security on this specific business process as well. So for that, what we do is, like for an example, I will give you a scenario. This evaluation step, they do not want it to be done by manager. They want someone else. For an example, they want this to be done by for HR admin. Okay, so we have to define the security group so that person can have access for this specific business process. So for that, what we do is we go to the business process policy. And we can define, like, see this, start my performance review. Only the employee as a self. If in case this security group is not there, then every employee will not be able to start the performance review by their own. If in case the security is not there, so we have to make sure that they are having the required security to initiate this action step. Okay. And here you can see, so whenever you go to the business process policy, so in the business process policy, we define the security for each and every step that we are defining, like who all can view, who all can do the approval. Like, see here, you can see, for an example, in this step, I have an approval step, but I have not given access to the approve action to the manager. So he will not be able to approve it. So we have to make sure that the security group is defined here. So mainly for the security group assigning purpose, we go to the business process policy and we define it over there. Apart from that, like who all can access what, we'll see that in the domain security policy, not here. But if there is anything related to this business process step, we define the policy in the business process policy. Did you get it?
Yep. Good.
Okay. I will show you some other business process that we have. Set review content. You can see here, we have an action step of set review content. There is a separate business process for that one. Set review content for performance review. If you see here, we'll have only the initial step and
action.
This will go to the manager. Okay, so this people have created and assign it randomly to anyone. But all the step, whenever we are going to do any feedback, okay, the steps would be defined. Or if in case we are supporting it, and if the client want to make any changes, or if he is willing to give assign the security group to some other person, we can just go and do it from this business process policy. Okay.
Okay.
So like that, you see, you saw here set review content, business process. Okay. In the
Mm-hmm.
same way, we have, like I said, you like if there is any additional review required. So for that as well, we have a get additional review. Get additional review for performance review should be there. Yeah, it's here. So see, the reason there are so many business process that is there defined. So mainly, as per my observation and experience, what usually happens is mainly this standard start business process review that comes into picture. Okay. And after that,
Mm-hmm.
we should be having all the other business process that is related, that is there, but it will not have all the step. It will just have the initiation step. If the initiation step is not there, okay, it will not get executed. So whenever initially the configuration happens, so all those steps are defined. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some reports as well related to this performance review. Okay. I will give you an example for performance review. Performance spelling is correct.
I think there's spelling mistake in
No, it's
performance.
not correct. Performance review. So these are various reports that you can see. Okay. For an example, I am the manager and I have few employees that is assigned within under me. And if I want to check the review status, okay, I can open a report. This is the custom report that is created.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the matrix one.
Mm-hmm.
Are you aware of creating custom reports? Of,
Yep.
okay. So if you run this,
Mm-hmm.
as this tenant has a previous year setup, you can see the performance review status, how many people have successfully completed it. You can see it from here. Okay. So there are various reports that we have and we can check. For an example, this was the report of all the employees that we had. For an example, if I want to check the performance review, only person who are in my team. So for that, we have my team performance review report. My team performance review report, you can see. So with this report, it is going to reflect only those employees who is within my team.
Is it a default report or custom report?
This is the default report.
Okay.
Okay. You can see the performance review for different workers that is there within her team. What was the period start date? What was the period end date? So here you will find the random data because this is the practice tenant. I'm highlighting you again and again because when you will see here and when you'll see your client's tenant, it will be completely different. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And this all are in progress that you can see, and this all are completed. So from here you can observe like what are the employees who has completed. Like for the employees for whom the performance review is completed, you can see you can see the manager rating, you can see the employee rating. I will tell you about all this thing, like how we can set up this, like set this ratings as well. Okay, how we
Sure.
define in the coming sessions.